Thank you all so much for joining me today, and congratulations on the upcoming launch of this year's Toronto Comic Arts Festival, or TCAF, as we affectionately call it. This is an event, for those who may be unfamiliar, that is one of the largest independent comics arts festivals in the world, welcoming over 28,000 visitors and over 300 artists. It has also remained completely free and open to the public since 2003. So, Amie, I'd like to start with you. As the executive director, what do you feel makes this annual event truly stand out and provide such a positive force within the comics industry?
Absolutely. I think TCAF is special for a lot of people. And one of the reasons being is that because we are an independent comic arts festival, you'll have big name artists tabling next to up and coming artists. So I know the first TCAF I went to, the fact that I was able to meet Chester Brown and he signed my copy of Louis Riel was one of the best things ever. And, for this year's festival, we have a lot of some of the biggest names in especially Canadian comics. Faith Erin Hicks is doing our poster. We also have Ryan North as one of our featured guests. And we also have people, about 25 of our exhibitors are usually up and coming artists, often from the Toronto area and recent graduates from, for example, Oakhead University and Sheridan College.
Fantastic. And outside of the exhibitor marketplace and all of those amazing guests, TCAF has countless programming options for attendees, professional and kiddos alike. Matthew and Allie, as co-coordinators for this year's Libraries and Education Day taking place Friday, June 6th, what are you most excited for attendees and exhibitors to experience with this year's programming? Allie, do you want to
Matthew
start us
wants
off?
me to go first. Um, yeah, I will say something I've been so excited about is actually that last year was my first time going to TCAF, and I went into an Ask a Comics Librarian panel. And that's where I first met Amy and a couple other comics librarians in the Toronto area. And for me, that was just like the inspiring moment for everything that's happened in the last year to get me now here helping organize it. And it was really cool that I went to at the University of Toronto in the I School. They have a course that's all about comics and graphic novels and libraries. And I got to go and talk to a bunch of students, and they were so interested in the fact that this is a specialty and there's a bunch of programming around comics and libraries. So I'm really excited to see bringing students and educators and library workers all together for conversations with the publishers and creators we have coming. So I think I'm really just excited to see everyone getting together.
Matthew, what about you?
Yeah, sure. So I wanted Allie to go first, so I knew what she was going to focus on, right? Um, so this is a joint hat answer, as I'm wont to do, right? So I'm really excited that, we've got some graphic medicine theming happening with Libraries and Education Day this year and with TCAF in general. But so for LED in particular, we're having, an opening keynote panel with a bunch of people exploring what graphic medicine is and introducing this idea to librarians and educators who've probably maybe heard it in passing, but are always like, what exactly are you talking about? So this gives us a chance to fill them in and bring them into the community. And then we're ending the day with graphic medicine as well. We're lucky enough to, in almost a repeat of one of our graphic medicine conference keynotes from a few years back in Toronto, we've got Fiona Smith and Corey Silverberg who are going to give a final talk for LED, talking about, sex education comics and right how vital that is and the challenges we're all facing with book bans and curriculum challenges. So it's tying all of these disparate threads together in a really fun, engaging way.
And Matthew, one follow-up question I wanted to pose. I know here at Fanbase Press, we speak ad nauseum about how amazing graphic medicine is, but in the event that someone is coming to this interview and may not be familiar with the genre or the field of graphic medicine, how would you best describe it?
Right, my 10-second pitch. Graphic medicine is the intersection between the medium of comics and the discourse of healthcare. So basically anything that's about the experience of health and illness, and I would say community is in there too, and environment. We actually have a creator talking about eco-anxiety as it was one of the speakers for this panel. That's going to be great. So that's the quick and dirty.
I love it. Fantastic. Now, it's so vital and beneficial to be welcoming and have welcoming spaces like TCAF, which are dedicated to the role of libraries in promoting literacy, cultural awareness, and education. And given that you all have backgrounds as library professionals, what would you like listeners to know about the challenges that many librarians are navigating right now? Amy, we'll start with you.
Um, So I'm currently based in Canada, but I have lived and worked in the US, both public libraries in the US and Canada. And I think, unfortunately, one thing I would say to any Canadians or folks listening on the line internationally is that everything we're about to talk about and what we will talk about in the weekend in terms of bans and challenges, I think a lot of people read the headlines and think that this is happening in the US only, and we know that that's not the case. Something that we're going to talk about, and indeed something that we've seen, for example, with Corey and Fiona's one of their most famous works, Sex is a Funny Word, is that the practice of soft censorship is very endemic and incredibly pervasive and remarkably underreported. So soft censorship could be somebody goes into a library, checks out a whole bunch of books and doesn't return them because they find the content offensive and don't think that kids and families should have access to that content. It also often encompasses within workplaces, maybe somebody in a position, a leadership position, deciding that content is not okay, even if it passes all of our collection development requirements and has been deemed a worthy purchase for the collection. So a lot of this has always been going on in the background, and we are really starting to see it escalate. And we've always known, of course, that visual material is disproportionately impacted by bans and challenges historically. And so I think we're seeing all of these issues really coming right to the foreground. And yeah, so TCAF is both a magical place and a point in which we're really talking about the intersection of everything that's happening right now.
Matthew, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, so I mean, Amy's going to cover the bans and challenges more thoroughly than I ever can, right? But I mean, there's, as we've been planning TCAF, right, it would be really hard to ignore the political reality that we're all living in, right? And we've been facing, challenges with people crossing the border safely or feeling that they can't cross the border safely, challenges with, funding, right? Like, I'm going into, conference season this year where it's like a little bit business as usual, but in the upcoming year, travel's likely to disappear for a lot of librarians, even at well-funded institutions. So we're going to be facing, we've already got the culture war fighting, regressive stuff going on, but then we're going to be facing financial constraints in a way we haven't in a little while as well. So this is a chance for us to get everyone together and talk about positive things, but also acknowledge those challenges that are happening and brainstorm together how to fix that.
And Allie, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, Amy and Matthew covered some of the most pressing things on my mind. But one thing I will add here is that, so I'm actually working on a thesis right now, exploring experiences of library workers that work with comic and graphic novel collections. And a big thing that my participants brought up a lot was feeling like they don't have discipline-specific expertise, like they don't receive training on how to work with comics. And that kind of goes parallel with this shift where so much, especially in academic libraries, shifting towards electronic resources and not having circulation of print materials. And they sort of identified that comics are something that is circulating and it brings people into the library and gets them engaged. But the librarians don't feel like they have the expertise. They're often drawing from personal knowledge, and not all of them are deeply involved in the comics community. So I think that's something where TCAF and Libraries and Education Day is such a great opportunity to provide some of that programming and bring it in line with some of those larger problems that are sort of weighing in the world of librarianship right now.
That's a fantastic insight, and I couldn't agree more. That is so wonderful that you were bringing that to light with your studies. Well, for everyone who may be interested in attending TCAF or simply learning more about it in the anticipation of perhaps attending next year, what is the best way for us to learn more about the event and all of the events happening at this year's conference? Amy, we'll go to you.
Yeah, so you can check us out at Toronto Comics across social media. So we are very big on Blue Sky these days too, with a lot of the comics community. So Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook. We're also on LinkedIn. But you can check most up to date our website. So again, just Toronto Comics, and we have our schedule for LED, so Library and Education Day. We also have our schedule up for Word Balloon Academy, which is professional development for comics creatives. We have all of our featured guests and our exhibitor lists up, and we also are confirming our general programming as we speak. So yeah, June 6th for Library and Education Day and 7th and 8th for everything happening. And we have a bunch of special events too. I should have plugged those. Super excited, especially for Library and Education Day, to know we're doing a special partnership event with TIFF the Tuesday before, so June 3rd, which is a special screening of Paying for It. So based on Chester Brown's graphic novel, directed by Sukyin Lee, and both Sukyin and Chester will be in attendance and in conversation with TCAF's artistic curator, Ho-Che Anderson. And then we have a special event with Toronto Metropolitan University Faculty of Arts for Kate Beaton's launch of Ducks, the paperback version, and that will be Thursday, June 5th.
Fantastic. Well, again, thank you so much for all of your efforts, not only throughout the year, but specifically with regard to TCAF. We're looking forward to an exciting event this year. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.